Good morning, everyone. I'm Matthew, and we are the Scoops. So we've got a few things that we're going to do this morning. One is starting to harden off some of the starts in there. Specifically the beans and the corn. Those things grew a lot faster than I expected them to. So a couple of the bean plants are actually starting to get to where they're kind of falling over because they're wanting to climb up something. So obviously I will end up having them on one of the rows with the trellis. Let's start bringing them out and go over a little bit of what hardening off plants is. Alright, so hardening off plants. What am I talking about when I mention hardening off plants? These plants are started inside at a controlled temperature. We generally keep it around like 78 degrees in the house. Not a big fan of the heat. But they've not had to deal with wind. They've not had to deal with any kind of direct sunlight. Temperature variations, anything above or even really below 78 degrees. So because of that, they're not used to the outdoors. They're not used to having to deal with those issues. And so if I was just to transplant them right away, there's a good chance they would not make it. Between the shock of transplanting and all of a sudden this difference in temperatures and all this other stuff, they may not make it. So the idea is to slowly introduce them to outside. So what you do, and it's a bit of a process, I probably won't do it near as long as I should, but the idea is to bring them out 20-30 minutes in the morning. I'll probably bring them out again later in the evening once the temperatures start going down. Even though it is now technically October, this is also Arizona. It's still going to be in the mid to high 90s today, and tomorrow and Monday I think are supposed to be even hotter. So we're still close to those triple digit temperatures. So because of that, it's a little difficult for new plants. So of course some of this stuff I should have probably started actually hardening off at least a good week or so ago. These beans are, these things are huge. This is, I should have brought these out a while ago. Same with the corn. So this is some of our corn here. We have had a couple of losses with the corn because our cat, one of our cats, decided she really liked chewing on it. So it is what it is. Then of course I got all my zucchini and butternut squash. Now some of the smaller stuff I probably really shouldn't have out in the direct sun. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to go ahead, get a tray to put those in for the time being, and probably just go ahead and take them inside. So decided to go ahead, the smaller ones, I'm actually going to go ahead and leave them out here for a little bit. I just don't want them in the direct sun. Again, It's only going to be for just a little bit this morning. I'll bring them all back in before it gets too hot because I don't want to burn them. Yeah, that's really it. That's all there is really to hardening off the plants. You just bring them out before it gets too hot for just again, like maybe 20-30 minutes. And the idea is to keep doing that every day, slowly increasing the duration of how long they're out here, just to get them used to it. Obviously working up to hours at a time. The whole process, of course, can take a couple weeks sometimes. Like I said, I don't know that I'm going to go the full duration like that. If it looks like they're doing well with the temperatures and whatnot pretty quickly, I may go ahead and start moving some of them out, at least the plants that look to be stronger. So we'll see how that goes. That's just going to be more of an experiment kind of thing. It's already getting warm out here though. Again, joys of being in the desert. Alright, so I just wanted to do a quick little kind of a update on the starts and hardening off the plants. So for now, let's go ahead and head on into the kitchen and let's make some breakfast. Alright, so for breakfast we're going to do biscuits and chocolate gravy. So I'm going to get the biscuits going first. I'm not going to go through how I make those just yet. If you want to know how I do my biscuits, it's pretty simple. Just let me know in the comments below. But the chocolate gravy is something that I've been asked about a few times out here because it's not a thing out here. Whereas growing up in Arkansas, chocolate gravy is a thing. We actually were served chocolate gravy and biscuits in school for breakfast, so it's pretty common out there, almost a staple. So I'm going to make chocolate gravy. Alright, so we've got the biscuits done, the oven's preheated, let's throw them in and get to making the gravy. Alright, so there's not a whole lot to it. You've got cocoa, milk, sugar, a little bit of flour, a little bit of salt, some vanilla, and some butter. Now I will put the ingredients and the measurements that I'm using here down in the description below. One thing to keep in mind, you're more than welcome to obviously change the measurements as needed, both to taste, consistency. So I've got 3/4 cup of sugar, I've got 1/2 cup of cocoa, I've got 3 tablespoons of flour, 2 cups of milk. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and we're going to use 1 tablespoon of butter, softened butter. So let's get to mixing this up here. First thing you're going to want to do is mix your dry ingredients. So we're just going to go ahead and pour all the dry ingredients in. And go ahead and just whisk that up until there's no clumps and it looks like it's evenly mixed. Alright, so that looks pretty good there. Pretty much got all the clumps out. So now let's go ahead, we're going to add our milk and we're going to whisk that up until it's good and mixed together and ready for pouring into our saucepan. Now during this process, if you find that it's a little too thick for your liking, you can always add a little more milk to it. Same with as we begin cooking it. Basically we're going to cook this until it begins to thicken in our saucepan. And if it becomes too thick, again, we can always add a little more milk to compensate and lighten that up a little bit. We just want to make sure that this is all good and mixed up here. You will notice that cocoa, especially at the beginning, doesn't really like to mix too well. And that's with pretty much anything that you're making with cocoa, it seems like to me anyway. So you just keep mixing until you're happy with your mixture. And that looks to be about down there. So let's go ahead, we're going to pour this into our saucepan and we're going to begin cooking this on the stove, stirring while it's heating up. Alright, so we've got our mixture, we've poured it into our saucepan here, we've turned the heat on to medium, so we're just going to continue to stir this in as it begins to cook until it thickens into a gravy. You're probably looking at somewhere around, like, I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes. Alright, so it's been about almost 9 minutes here. Matter of fact, my timer for my biscuits are about to go off here in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so let's remove this because this has gotten pretty thick here. So we're going to remove it from the heat. And now we stir in our vanilla and our butter. So it's going to be 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of butter. That's about right. Maybe just a smidge more. Alright, let's get that all good and stirred in. We just wanted to make sure it's good and mixed up. All the butter's good and melted in. Obviously by then the vanilla should be good and mixed in. And this is kind of the consistency you're going for here. It's gravy, it's not pudding, it's gravy. Don't let anyone tell you different. And there you have it, biscuits and chocolate gravy. So that's going to do it for us today. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you end up trying it out, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, of course. That part's that's what helps us out the most here on our channel. So otherwise, thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.